What is up, everybody? My name is James DeFiore, and this is Blackballed. So I was thinking yesterday that I have all these interviews coming up with geopolitical people. Alka Pradhan, who's I guess you'd say that she's the most renowned attorney representing Gitmo detainees. I'm going to have Dave Troy back. I have a professor from U of T who's going to come and talk about geopolitics and everything. But really, at the end of the day, I often think to myself that you don't really get any answers from those people that you interview. They're compelling people in their own right, but there's often a blind spot regarding what really happens in a conflict. And I thought of who could I invite on the show that actually has experience on the battlefield. Hope I'm not sandbagging him with this because that was my intention to have him come on, but I didn't let him know that. But nonetheless, I think it's important. I don't know how much detail people who have been in wars like to give. If my guest today is anything like my Opa, who fought for Holland in World War II against the Nazis, he didn't say shit about the war. And I'm hoping that today we could possibly have a little bit of a discussion as to what's going on. As far as Russia and Ukraine and Israel and Palestine, and if he has anything to add about that. Because if not, we'll just talk about the Edmonton Oilers for an hour. I don't give a fuck. So please welcome to the show, my friend. His name is Army Kris. Chris,
how you doing, brother?
I'm doing
good,
well,
man.
sir. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good, man.
You know what? I love having you on because that backdrop that you have is actually real.
Yeah, it is. It's not fake.
Yeah. And I thought the Eager Beaver podcast, I thought Paul Atkinson's background was real for like a year.
So did I.
And I can't remember what it was, but he had something on his shelf and he's like, I think it was like a puck or something. And and he said this, yeah, I have a puck, but I can't show it to you because it's so far away. And I'm like in the chat, I'm like, it's right fucking behind you. And it wasn't.
I was trying so hard to make my background better because I thought his is real and I found it wasn't. I'm like, fuck, man.
That's right.
It's not real.
So let's get the easy stuff out of the way. Edmonton Oilers.
Going to third round?
Yeah. How do you feel about that? This is like
it was
for them.
It was extremely stressful last night. I'll tell you what, because they sat on their heels. Vancouver got 2 back. We won. It's done deal, but it's extremely stressful. You know what? I'll leave it like this because I know everybody's like fucking. Most of your fan base are Toronto guys and stuff, and I get that. And I shit on the Maple Leafs as much as anybody out west does, but
dude, it gets worse. I'm a Habs fan, so I have no dog.
Oh, you're a Habs fan.
I was born in Montreal.
It's not the team that I hate; it's the fans that I hate. It's like, you know what? They're gonna go through a big rebuild. We are in the breach. It's like this is do or die for us. This is the most stressful year. Connor McDavid is in his 9th year in the NHL and has not got a cup. And most of the greats have got their cup within the 3rd year, 4th year, whatever. So there's a lot of pressure. And Dallas is our hardest. That's the hardest. That's going to be the hardest battle. We get past Dallas. I fucking tell you right now, we're going to blow over the Rangers or Florida, whatever. Like, I'm not worried about them. They look like molasses when I watch them.
I only know what Toronto is like as far as the sports city goes. I've never lived in any other city in Canada.
Yeah.
It must be electric in Edmonton right now because I always find that the media, the Toronto media, basically define sports in Toronto, and the fans.
Yeah, the Toronto Sports Network, as we call it here, right?
Yeah, and the fans, though. I mean, I was raised to hate everything about the Maple Leafs, including the fans. And then as I got older, all my friends were Leaf fans, and I just finally got to a place where it's like, this is stupid. I don't want to hate the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm from Toronto. So now they're my second favorite team, and the Habs my first. And I don't subscribe to that whole you must hate Toronto Maple Leaf fans. I think that's just ridiculous. But
I agree with you on that. Like, as much as I want to hate the Leafs, same as Calgary's, because I get my balls busted because I'm also a Calgary fan and I live in Edmonton and it's a huge rivalry. But I grew up in Calgary.
Yeah.
So I gave my best friend growing up, who still lives in Calgary, a signed autograph stick by the original Atlanta Flames that got off the plane when they became the Calgary Flames. So this is for you now. And I was watching the Calgary Flames when they're playing the fucking Corral Center before the Saddledome, which is about to be demoed. Right, that's how old we are now.
Yeah.
Saddledome's about to get demoed to build a new rink. So I'm like, because there's Gary Bettman is my most second hated man on earth because he hates Canadian teams and he does everything he can to fuck them over. I'm sure.
Who's the most hated man on earth for you?
Well, our current prime minister, whatever, and then it'll be the next one.
Not like
whatever. We're not doing politics on this show, right?
Okay,
We're not doing that. We don't do that. But I hate Batman, and I think he's anti-Canadian, and I think he fucking. I honestly believe, like, let's get conspiracy theory here, that he pays refs to fuck Canadian teams. So next to the NFL, the NHL is the worst refereeing in any sport on earth.
You don't watch basketball then?
No, not since the 90s, man. I used to be a big Pistons fan.
Yeah, I was a Knicks fan, so it was hard for me in the 90s.
During Bill Laimbeer and all those dudes, as a big Pistons fan. I was.
Oh, you like the bad boy era?
I like the bad boy era. I was never a Bulls fan. I was always a Pistons fan. So
I was a Knicks fan, but I was one of those guys that I worshipped Michael Jordan. I thought,
okay, so I did that too, but
yeah,
it was hard for me because I'm like, I love Michael Jordan, and I'm still an Air Jordan. I have a lot of Air Jordan shoes.
So do I. Yeah.
Do you? Right on.
That's my midlife crisis. Those have been my midlife crisis.
No, actually, for my 50th birthday, I bought a set of green and white Jordan 13s.
Oh, nice.
And but yeah, I was a Pistons fan back in the day.
It's funny. I went to Madison Square. My first NBA game was Miami Heat and the Knicks in I believe it was.
Oh, you've been to an NBA game.
Oh, I've been to like 40 or 50 NBA games, but the first one I ever went to was Madison Square Garden, and it was funny because I was wearing a Knicks hat, but I was wearing a Jordan flight suit, like a full flight suit, and I had Jordan 3s on, right?
Yeah,
and I also had a camera that was it was like 1990, so the camera had a big lens and everything. It was like a film camera or whatever. And my dad scored these tickets through the hotel where basically it was like Marv Albert, and then we were the first row behind the press.
Yeah.
Right? So it had that red carpet between us and the press row and everything. It wasn't courtside, but it was like one row in from behind the media. So it was dope seats. And I took my camera and I just started wandering around. And long story short, I ended up sitting with the cheerleaders, taking pictures of Patrick Ewing and Kenny Skywalker and Mark Jackson and all these people. And they almost kicked me out because then the Knicks went into a huddle and I tried to take a picture of like the huddle. And my camera's like over, I don't know whose it was, John Stark's shoulder or someone's shoulder. And then the security guard, I have a picture of the security guard putting his hand in my face. And they're like, where are you supposed to be? And I'm like, I'm sitting behind Marv Albert, right? Like a little dick. But it was a double overtime game, and the Knicks won 122-121. So it was like the best experience you could have for a first NBA game. But
that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and then I went to a whole bunch of Raptors games, and I don't want to get into it too much, but I hate the branding of I used to hate the branding of the Raptors. It was the Barney team, and that always drove me insane. But I like them now. Ever since the We the North campaign started, they're dope.
Well, hey, listen, man, it's Canada's only NBA team, so
yeah,
you got to roll with that. Like
that's why you never. That's why you never build a team around big country Reeves like the Vancouver Grizzlies did.
No, I was just going to say the same thing about the Grizzlies. Like, you don't do that. So,
we also just want to let you guys know. I don't know if Ryan Lindley's going to join or not, but he's lurking in the background helping me produce. I think he should too. But my Elon Musk internet is being spotty, so he's kind of manning the controls so that if I go off air, the whole thing doesn't shut down. So that's good. Ryan, you're welcome in anytime. Are you cool, Chris, with talking about from a soldier's perspective? And the reason why I wanted to talk to you specifically is because you have been in the military, you've seen battle, right, firsthand. And I find that there is very little, if any, perspective from the people who actually do the heavy lifting in conflicts. And I'm wondering, like, if anything that you've ever been deployed to is even comparable to what's going on in either Israel or Palestine or Ukraine.
Yeah, we can talk about that for sure. I know you're concerned that you're going to blindside me. I'm good to go for sure.
Okay.
Because I was when I joined the Army in 1988, and we were trained to fight the Russians. So I'm very well qualified to speak to that. I can speak to what's happening with that. and I could weigh in my opinion on what's going on in the whole Israel campaign. So yeah, like fire away, man.
Well, yeah.
Fire
So let's. Well, first of all, you were trained to fight the Russians. What does that mean?
Yeah, so you're going back to the 80s, Cold
Yeah.
War, which is exactly how they're fighting that war. The Russians are using the playbook from back then. It's got me and my people call it heavy metal warfare, which is
Right.
literally what it is. Heavy metal. It is literally legit tanks, big guns. The Russians rely heavy on artillery, and it's all if they have the doctrine that they're using is the same doctrine that I grew up with. So there's no surprises to me what they're doing and how they're running that war. Like I get it 100%. So it's like wow, because we spent the evolution of warfare, if you will, as I progressed through my career. When we got in Afghanistan, you're talking 3 block war. You're talking about counterinsurgency shit in Afghanistan and Iraq and stuff like that. Is very, very different from that conventional heavy metal warfare that's happening in Ukraine right now. So I can.
Yeah. Is there any like when you train to fight against the Russians, does that just mean like you do like a lot of scenario testing? Because I imagine if they're a heavy metal warfare machine, that you can't train for that unless like using live rounds and live ammo. So is it more like
Oh
positioning?
yeah, for sure. It was very, very much scenario based because training back then, like we were still in the Cold War. Like this is right before the wall came down.
Right.
So it's all theoretical. It's theoretical warfare. Our understanding of how they work and their understanding of how we work. And it was this big, massive, heavy metal, big tanks, big guns thing. So that's what you're seeing actually coming into fruition, which, to be honest with you, James, is mind blowing to me because I thought that style of warfare is done. No, it's
Yeah.
not. No, it is not done.
Well, that's because there's only a few countries like the United States who rely on things like drone technology.
Well,
Right.
that's changing the game. So my understanding of warfare is, let's say it's 70% accurate because now there's all this new tech with drone technology and stuff like that exists now that didn't exist back then. So I'm trying to get my head around that because people always ask me this shit all the time. And I go on other podcasts and talk about it. Like, understand my understanding of tactics, which are still prevalent, to this day.
Mhm.
Don't incorporate the new tech. Even when I was in Afghanistan, man, if we would have had drone tech,
Yeah.
fuck, that would have been a game changer. Would have been a game changer. But
Yeah,
we didn't.
No.
Or it was limited, right?
Yeah, and so now with Ukraine fighting, so it's not quite a NATO war, but it kind of is. All their funding and weapons are coming from NATO countries. It's like they're an honorary member. And it's funny because when I have certain people on, I hate mentioning this person because I mention him a lot, but just because he's seemed to be the most knowledgeable about it. But when I had Noam Chomsky on, he was talking about the sort of posturing of NATO and Russia before this war started. There is not much wiggle room to argue out of the idea that this is a proxy war.
Okay,
And
100% a proxy war.
Yeah.
So I've said this on my own show before. For everybody watching, listening, we are in World War III. You don't know it, but we are like 100%. We're in World War III. I believe that. Okay, don't get scared, but I'm fucking telling you right now, NATO isn't a proxy war against Russia. And if anybody wants to argue that, like DM me, whatever, because I'm telling you right now, this is a proxy war against Russia. We're in World War III right now, the closest thing to it. If you want to get into what's going on in China, Taiwan, with North Korea, wake up. We're in World War III. I believe that. That's my opinion. That's all it is. Doesn't mean anything. You want to hide under a blanket and pretend we're not? Go ahead. I'm telling you right now, we're in World War III.
Well, if we're in World War III, we appear to be at the same stage of that war. I don't know if we are or not, but let's say we are.
War II. It's Cold War II.
Right. But if it's World War III, we're at the stage where like Germany invaded Czechoslovakia kind of thing, right? Like we're not at the stage yet where there's like 30 nations that are all fighting at the same time.
No,
So
not that level, but it's like you need to appreciate how this is going to evolve because Putin is not going to back down. Okay, that's his business. Ukraine is going to continuously get funding from the West
yeah.
because there's continuous buildup of NATO. You're looking at new countries coming into NATO that were not NATO countries before. Ukraine won't be the last people in NATO. But at the end of the day, we are in a proxy war. We are in the closest thing to World War III. I also call it Cold War 2.0.
Yeah.
And
That might be more apt, I think.
yeah, I think so, right? So, but that's where we're at. Don't think we're not.
Well, you're in good company because John Spencer, who's an urban warfare expert and the person who created the training manual for the civilian army in Ukraine, I've had him on the show a bunch of times.
I know you have. I watched it. Yep.
Yeah, and he says the same thing that you say regarding
100%.
it being a proxy war. I don't think he said World War III, but
Well,
I don't think he would totally disagree with you either, right? Like,
I guess that's a strong statement, but I just want to prepare people to accept the fact that World War III is not the same as World War II and 1. It is more going to be like a Cold War 2.0. There's going to be a lot of cyber activity, a lot of AI, fake news, and all that other bullshit that's happening in the world these days. But have no illusions, people. We are in a different version of World War in the Third World War, and it's not just Ukraine and Russia. It expands into the whole problem in the Middle East. Israel, Hamas, which I know you want to talk about, Iran, and China and Taiwan and North Korea. There's a lot of players on the game, so you can call that a world problem. It's how we're going to navigate that space.
yeah. We just for people that are listening and not watching, we had the casualties, and I think Russia is at 300,000. I think 120,000 of those are deaths, and 170,000 to 180,000 are injured troops. And then on the Ukrainian side, the officials put it close to 70,000 killed and 100,000 to 120,000 wounded. That source of that is the U.S. Congress report. It is. I mean, we never hear about death tolls in that war. Like it's rare that they even talk about it. Like it's hard to even gauge. Like that's a lot. That's a lot of dead soldiers, right?
There's skewed numbers. So it's like the Russians are going to say X, the West is going to say Y. I'm not going to lie to you, people. I've been to war a couple times. War fucking sucks, and the numbers don't matter. It's just like it's a battle of attrition. It's a battle of will, and whether it's 100,000, 300,000, whatever, is just a fucking number to throw at the media. At the end of the day, what is the end state? What's the end state going to look like? How does this end? So, like, don't even get wrapped up around those numbers because they don't mean anything. They don't really mean anything. And probably mean anything. They probably mean something to the mothers,
yeah,
and fathers of those kids that went over there on either side, and for whatever the point of this is. But I'll tell you right now, it really is irrelevant. At the end of the day, it's how fast can we get to some kind of end state, and I don't know what that looks like. I honestly don't.
Yeah, it feels it doesn't. It feels, first of all, and I've said this before, that Putin is trying to build a legacy for himself. And actually, I think Netanyahu's in the same spot. I think that they're both at the twilight of their political careers, and they're trying to forge out some sort of legacy. If we go to now the battlefield that you experienced in Afghanistan, more closely would resemble and maybe it's not even comparable at all, but would more closely resemble what's going on in Gaza, only because of the type of warfare that's being fought. And when you went out on missions, were you often like focusing on small cities and enclaves rather than like a full swath of military troops and tanks in the countryside of Fallujah or wherever?
Here's the thing about Afghanistan and I never served in Iraq. Okay, I'm a Canadian.
Right.
Afghanistan and the mission ISAF, the International Security Assistance Force, you're at war in a country, not against that country. So you're fighting an enemy, an insurgency that's operating in that country, which was the Taliban at the time and a bunch of other dickheads, for lack of a better term. You're very constrained about what you're doing. So the bulk of the bad guys in that campaign were coming out of Pakistan. We were not allowed to operate in Pakistan.
Right.
And had we been allowed to do that, the outcome might have been very different.
That's
When
like the
you
Tora Bora area, right?
Well, just the entire eastern border of Afghanistan, all the way from the fucking north all the way to the south, and I've fucking operated in all those places. You're very limited in what you can do. So the idea was we're going to go in and like try to. The main effort was to train the Afghan National Army, build them up, like build that government and build up their military to be able to fight against the Taliban. We all know how that ended. I don't want to get into that because it makes me irritated. It is what it is. When you look at Hamas Israel thing, and I know there's war crimes bullshit going on, at the end of the day, there's no international body coming in to mitigate that situation. So they're on their own. So we're all sitting on the outside judging who's right and who's wrong. It's like, you know what? And who are you to judge anything? And I get it. Like, there's a lot of wrong things going on either side. There's rules in warfare till there's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, myself included, that finds the civilian death toll in Gaza to be super high.
I feel it's entirely unnecessary.
Yeah, because I don't understand, and maybe you can help shed light on this, because obviously I am not an expert and I feel like you are. Why are we sort of trained to just accept from Israel that the only way to fight Hamas, who are allegedly using civilians as human shields, is an aerial bombardment? That's the only part that I get stuck on.
I don't buy that, James, and I'm going to tell you why. Well, okay, I'm going to break it down.
Well, that's what they're telling. That's what they're basically telling us. Yeah,
right. I know what they're saying, but I'm going to break it down for everybody two ways. One, what you're supposed to do, like in Afghanistan, we had targeting cells. And that involved like legal people, like lawyers, to say what was a legal target and what wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
To minimize, most of my time was spent in Kandahar City. And then another tour was outside of Kandahar City. It was actually all over the country. So I get it. You're operating against an enemy in a civilian population. Like, that is an extremely challenging space to be. Extremely challenging, because you have international legal rules, laws of warfare. I see the chat lines blowing up. It's very, very challenging. So you have to manage that. And on the flip side, the bad guys are capitalizing. Hamas is capitalizing that. They are 100% hiding behind civilian targets because they know they can do that. Because the fucking Taliban, buddy, when I was over there, they did the same thing.
Yeah.
They would hide in a mosque because they knew that was a non-eligible target, for lack of a better term. We couldn't engage that target. So they knew that. So they would hide in there. And the bad guys are in there. There's no civilians in there. But if we light that place up, how it plays out in the media is not going to, go well. So, I don't know how the hell do you answer that?
Yeah.
So on one hand, there are laws of warfare, which I believe in, that, they're trying to follow, but on the other hand, they're fucking saying, fuck it, we're going to do it. And they're doing it. And they're killing a lot of civilians, which is not cool. And on the other hand, the pro-Palestinian side, I don't want to get into politics. It's not my thing. I'm way past that now.
Yeah.
Or it's like, I'll tell you right now, the pro-Palestinian side, yes, they're a lot of civilians have died in this war unnecessarily, but the bad guys, or the good guys, whatever you want to call them, the Palestinians are hiding behind civilian targets. I've seen this firsthand, seen it more than once. And that's a shitty thing.
just to play devil's advocate, okay? Because obviously I
Please
know
do,
Hamas.
please do, because I want to be equal. I'm not picking a side on this. I'm
No,
not
that's
picking
fine.
a
Yeah.
side.
I know that Hamas is a terrorist organization, so I'm not really like speaking on their behalf
Yep,
or anything. But Gaza's so small.
it's,
Where
it's tiny.
where do they? So what would be acceptable? Would it be just for them to just all hang out on the beach and just get bombarded by the air? Like what would be?
I don't
Like
know
I'm
the
not
answer
saying
to
that they're
that.
doing the right thing by hiding behind civilians. I am not. I'm not saying that at all. But it's such a small place where like it would be impossible not to be at least among civilians. There's like what is it, 3 million people, and it's the size of Manhattan or
Yeah.
something like that. Like
Yeah.
you know, it might be smaller than that. I honestly don't remember, but I thought it was like. Anyways, I
I,
don't want to sit there and try to guess the size,
I,
but it's tiny, right, and
I
crowded.
I understand Israel's response, but I don't support their methodology at all. It's you're just fucking bombing everything.
Is it ignorant of me to assume that there must be some sort of special ops option that they're not taking because they don't want to put their soldiers at risk?
No, Israel's very good at that stuff.
Yeah.
Like if you think that guy that Iranian dude's helicopter went down had nothing to do with nothing, you're dreaming, man. It is not random.
Yeah.
Israel. Their special operations or their intelligence community is exceptionally good at what they do.
And we've been like hearing for decades now about how uh, that kind of indiscriminate bombing just creates new generation of terrorists. You know?
Okay, I said that from day one.
Yeah.
I said and I've said this in every war. You know, the minute you say young guy, some young kid, let's say he's 14, 15 years old, whatever side of the line he's on, and you blow his family up, you just that kid's committed. He's all in
Yeah.
forever, and his kids will be committed. Like this never ends, man. I've lived this shit, and it's like
I would be committed.
what they're doing.
You know?
Fucking me too, man. Me too.
Yeah.
What
Like if
they're
someone dropped a bomb from a fighter jet that killed my children, and they said it was because Hamas was like next door, or like four members of Hamas or something like that was next door. I wouldn't be understanding. I would
no,
probably pick up a gun and find a way
no.
to fight. Right? Like,
I have no idea what the death toll is, Mike. But I'll tell you something. I know Hamas is a terrorist organization. I know that.
yeah,
And I know, Israel got blindsided and a bunch of their people got killed and they said, fuck this, enough's enough. Got it. But like, you don't bulldoze fucking 9,000 civilians or whatever, the number of 100,000, whatever the number is, to get to like a third of the number of bad guys. That's not what you do. So is that fair? Can we meet on that? Like, you don't take out 3 times the amount of civilians to get to the bad guys. And I'm not pro Palestinian. I'm not pro, Israeli, whatever. Fucking, I don't care. But I know the rules. What's supposed to be the rules, the laws of armed conflict. That's what we're taught. The law. Actually, that's a literal term. The laws of armed conflict. It defines, the buddies and shit with the ICC. It's all based on that. There's laws of armed conflict that we have to follow. And we follow them in Afghanistan, Bosnia, Croatia, fucking keep going backwards to the end of time. And they're not following that. I'm like, I get it. They're a terrorist group. I get it. They're bad guys. I get it. They killed a bunch of your people. But you don't fucking kill this ridiculous amount of civilians to get to these guys just because they're hiding under them. You got to figure out another way to do it.
yeah.
If you can't figure that out, then stop and get people to come and help you to figure out how to do that.
The latest estimates are that approximately 30,000 people have been killed in Gaza since October 7th. 14,000 are allegedly combatants, and around 16,000 civilians have also been killed. And I'm pretty sure, and maybe I can get a fact check on that, but out of that 16,000 civilians, more than half of them are children. I'm pretty sure.
Oh man, I've lived through that. I've had a kid in my arms with his fucking brains hanging out of his head, with his dad crying in front of me because the bad guys in Afghanistan, in Kandahar City, lit a bomb up early and it was smoked this kid. Like, I've lived civilian casualties, so this is near and dear to my heart, right?
Can
I've
I
lived
ask what did that do to you as a man? You know, like
fucking that's what just fucking takes you down. You know, you're like, man, it brings you right down. Brings you down because you're like, oh man, what the fuck are we? Is this what the planet is? Really? Can we not be better?
and those
I
moments.
had this dude crying.
Thank you for sharing that with me. By the way,
No, that slipped out. I never ever told anybody out that on like a pod ever till right now. I tell my fucking psychiatrist that shit. I don't tell you guys.
well, I think it's
Yeah, it was this kid. Well, it's already out there. So we got called out. It was nighttime. And we get out there and there's a fucking riot going on. All the civilians in Canada City, they're freaking the fuck out. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And it was a motorcycle bomb, vehicle borne IED. And there's this little 5-year-old kid. And half his fucking brains are like dripping all over my boots. And his dad, who's a taxi driver, you know, that's his job. He's crying. He wants answers. I'm like, man, I got nothing I can do for you. You know? So like what the fuck do you say? So I was like that, right?
Is there any special not special, is there any like mental decompression process for soldiers that experience traumatic events like that?
Yeah, we're getting better at that. Yep.
Okay.
It wasn't always like it wasn't like that in the 90s. We just came back from shitty places and like went to the bar and went back to work, but it's getting better. It's getting better.
We're having a trouble finding people to join our military, aren't we?
Oh yeah. Well, they're doing it wrong.
How should they be doing it?
Oh my God. How many liberals are watching this show right now? Okay. I'll make this brief. The James, you know me, I don't like to get political.
No, I know.
Here's the thing. Back in my day, I'm only going to say this once, so everybody pay attention. When you join the military, boom. Back in my day, the government did not fucking interfere with how the military ran. Okay? It said, here's what I want you to go do. Whether it was, and trust me, there's many liberal successes and many conservative successes over the time I was in the military. All I cared about was, what do you want me to go do? Will you resource me to do it? Be it funding or whatever. I have never seen a government, other than this government, ever interfere more with both the RCMP and the military. So here's the problem today. There's this massive focus on inclusion and all this other shit, which is fine. I get that. But here's the thing. Here's the reality of life. Now, everybody hang on, take a deep breath, go get a beer if you need to, because I'm going to say some Alberta redneck shit and a lot of people are going to blow back at me. But this is the fact. This is the reality of life. You'll see a Canadian Forces bus go by with a recruiting banner on the side. And it's going to have women, brown guys, red guys, black guys, yellow guys, and white guys. Do you know who joins the Army?
White guys?
Long pause.
I don't know. I'm thinking white guys.
Young white dudes from the prairies.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be racist about that. I'm just stating the facts. So the problem is the recruiting system is going after following a political model that is not working.
Do they offer do they incentivize joining the military like they do in the States?
No. They're just actively recruiting diverse people. And so let me break this down for you. And I've said this on like 15 fucking podcasts. You know how many people serve in the Canadian Armed Forces?
I think it's 100,000 or something.
Yeah, less than 0.2% of the population.
Yeah.
But the government says you need to be reflective of the Canadian demographic. The general, you know, I'm like, what? No. You're asking people to go do shitty jobs in shitty places to do shitty things to shitty people. We are not reflective of the Canadian demographic. We are people who decide we choose to want to go do this and we go do it. And whether you fucking like it or not, it's typically prairie boys or East Coasterners and some cats from Ontario and it's white guys that want to go do this. It's not racial. And I got a lot of black friends, a lot of red friends, a lot of brown friends that have done the same thing. But don't. Here's my point to wrap this up, because we can go on for this forever. Stop targeting demographics and target people who want to join the Canadian Armed Forces, whatever their color is, whatever their creed is, whatever their race is, whatever their gender is, or whatever their fucking sexual orientation is. We don't give a shit. We don't care if you're gay, bi, whatever. We don't care if you're black, brown, or red. Once you're in, trust me, when you're in the shit, we all bleed red.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. We don't care about your sexual orientation. It's the government that's fucking that all up. So the recruiting problem in Canadian Forces, and I'll say it to you right now, and I'll said it before, is the government is trying to fuck with how we do this. What you should be doing is actively recruiting people, incentivize, who want to join the military, and not targeting demographics to meet some liberal agenda. Oh, okay, use the L word, sorry. Or a conservative agenda, or an NDP agenda, whatever it is. Pick people who want to join the military, because people that live they're in the fucking military represent less than 1% of the population of this country. So don't fucking tell me I need to represent the entire country. No, I don't.
Yeah, diversity quotas for the military doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. No. So anyway, that's my rant, James. Thank you for letting me have that.
Oh no, that's fine. Listen, I don't think that what you're saying is very controversial. I think that an argument can be made by just asking people to join the military because they want to, because that's what they feel they might be good at.
That's what we need. We want people who want to be in the military.
Yeah,
not like
incentivize it through education funding and all that other kind of stuff. For I don't know what kind of incentives exist for people that join the army.
Actually, pretty good, man. There's about 88 trades, and if you want to go on, if you're a high school graduate want to be in university, the military will pay for university. You owe them some time, obviously. I still love it. I've been out for a long time. I did 25 years, and I still think it's still a good career. Do I think this current government's fucked it up? Yep. I won't lie about that. Did I think the last government fucked it up? A little bit.
Well, they weren't good with veterans and their pensions and all that kind of stuff. They were taking
that's getting better. That's always going to be a thing. Yeah. I still believe that joining the Canadian Forces is a good career. And like if you can get a free education out of it, and you just owe them some time. And it's not just war fighting shit, man. If you want to be a computer nerd or a fucking whatever, there's over 80 different trades between the Air Force, Navy, and Army that are not kinetic warfighting trades that you can get into. Look into it. I feel like we're doing a recruiting show.
No, but this might surprise you. I tried to join the military in 1997.
You talked about that, yeah.
Because I found out that that the Army always has a poet.
Yeah.
I wanted to be the Army poet, and so I went to the cadet station on Sherbourne and Queen, I think it is, in Toronto.
Okay.
And I got interviewed and everything, and then I found out that even the poet has to go to boot camp.
Yes, sir.
And I was like, all right, I was looking forward to it. And they denied me because of my eyesight. And I'm not legally blind or anything, but I just wore glasses, and they denied me because of that. I'm like,
oh, my eyesight was shit, man.
I'm like, I'm a poet. Like I expected to wear spectacles while I write inside the ditch in some faraway land. Like, isn't that like Siegfried Sassoon, the famous war poet from World War I, the Canadian?
Yes. Yeah.
And anyways, I didn't get in. It's something I would have done though. Like I was in my 20s. I think I was 21 or 22 at the time.
I joined the Army because I needed a fucking summer job. I was 17 years old. It was 1988. And I was a fucking nerd in high school getting beat up and shit. And I was not doing well. So they said, hey, if you join this program and do this basic training, you get a couple credits. And buddy, I needed every credit I could get. I was not fucking doing well. So I was like, okay. Because everybody thinks I joined the military because my grandfather was, in the military. Well, both of them were. And two uncles were, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, nope. When the recruiters came to my high school, I was like not paying attention. I was fucking with an eraser or something, like not paying any attention. And what happened was a couple of my buddies said, hey, we're joining this program for the summer. And if you go on this basic training shit, you get some credits. I'm like, fuck, I need some credits and I don't have a job. I was 17, so I joined. And that hook, line, and sinker, done. I'm like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I didn't even finish high school. I did later, but I mean, I'm like, fuck it. This is what I do now. So I needed a summer job, and 25 years later, I still needed a summer job. But she was a good time.
It's interesting. I understand why people have a sort of not a hate on for the military, but a hatred for the policies that sometimes get us into battles. And so maybe I think a large part of why it's not a more popular decision for young people to join the military is mostly because of their political beliefs, that they like if Stephen Harper were prime minister when 2003 in 2003 we would have been in Iraq, right? And I think that
I
and
know.
people,
I think we did a good job of staying out of Iraq.
well, we did because the Liberal Party was in power.
Yeah. Well, actually, funny thing. So
I know we did training exercises in Iraq, and that's often what people say about Chrétien is that we weren't in the war, but we still sent personnel there. So I understand that part.
So that's not true. We had guys in Iraq the whole fucking time. We have guys in Iraq right now.
Well, like, you mean like where they would fight for the American military?
We have guys in Iraq.
I feel like there's a secret club conversation about to happen.
We had Canada Dry 1, Canada Dry 2, man. We were in Iraq from Gulf War 1 and Gulf War 2.
Can you explain in what capacity?
Air support in the first two, and special operations currently today, which I'm not going to get into.
Okay.
We've always been in Iraq, but not on the TV, not on the CNN version of Iraq, okay? So let's be clear here. Canada's always supported its allies. Not in maximum capacity. They've been very smart how they're going to do it. Go, you know what? We'll kick into bed, but not all of it. So we've been in Iraq for sure. We're literally I'm pretty fucking sure we got guys in Iraq right now.
Just to get back to that incentivization, I'm reading something that our producer has put on the screen. Whether your goal is to become a medical professional, a pilot, an administrator, etc., we will pay your tuition at one of our military colleges or an approved civilian institution, pay you a salary, and provide a benefits package.
There you go.
There is incentive to go there. And
100%.
Now the technology has such a big role in the military. You can go in as an engineer, as a computer person, all that kind of stuff. And you don't have to think of it as always being on the battlefield as a soldier carrying around 60 pounds of gear or whatever.
If you're a fucking nerd, this is the time to get in the military.
Yeah. Well, that's when people, you were mentioning earlier about how the Russia-Ukraine thing feels sort of like either Cold War II or World War III. And I was listening to a podcast from the States, retired general, his name escapes me, but they were talking about how World War III actually has been going on for the last 10 or 15 years. And it's a cyber war more than anything.
I agree with that more than anything. It's not about rounds down range anymore. It's more, you know what? You want to disrupt an economy and create chaos in a country. Fake news with AI, like misinformation and disruption of services, if you will, whether that's water supply, electrical supply, or just disinformation is huge. That I can create more damage through disinformation than I can through a 155 round going through the air.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%. And that is modern warfare. So they are actively seeking, and all NATO, actually every country, are seeking guys who can manage that. That's the cyber battle space is far more important, than seizing ground, because it really, what it does is here's the thing. If you can control or influence the will of the people of any given country, right? Think about World War II, World War I, when the whole country stood up, your great-grandfather, your grandfather, they all fucking went to war. If you can influence that and make them want to go to war or not going to want to go to war, you're influencing the kinetic events that happen on the battlefield. That's a huge, huge thing.
Yeah, I think that what World War One and World War Two had that all the conflicts since then did not have is the ability to capture the hearts and minds of people who felt like they were being attacked by true evil, right?
Exactly. So
And
imagine,
directly attacked, like Pearl Harbor.
imagine if AI could convince. Okay, let's use Pearl Harbor, James.
Okay,
Imagine if AI and disinformation could convince the American population that Pearl Harbor was fake, never happened, and there was no will to go to war against Japan,
right,
and
exactly.
the
It's a good
United
point.
States didn't go to war. Imagine if that could happen. Unrealistic as it may be, but just imagine that's what's happening now. So AI, disinformation, cyber warfare is designed to influence the population to decide whether we're going to commit to something or not. Like, that's a fucking real thing, and that's scary, man. That's scary. I'd rather. For me, it's easy, man. It's just give me a fucking gun, let me get it on. Um, but that shit, you have to. That's a lot of stuff going on, and people you need to get their head around that. Governments have to manage that all the time. All the intelligence services have to manage that. The Pentagon or NDHQ in Canada or whatever, whoever it is, has to manage this in real time because at the end of the day, all the military is one thing. It is an extension of political will. So think about what I just said.
Yeah,
And is a practical application of foreign policy of that political will. That's what the military is. So as soon as you have AI or whatever influencing that and influencing the population, that creates a big problem on those two concepts I just mentioned to you.
yeah. You know, Ryan just pointed out that there is since 2022, and there's been a new incentivization program from the military that makes soldiers eligible for additional pay increments following the completion of basic military qualification processes. So, I guess the government is trying, right, trying to do new things to incentivize new recruitment. I don't know how well it's working. It doesn't seem to be working that well.
No.
As far as the disinformation stuff, what always kind of gets me, like, I chuckle a little bit sometimes because, like the United States are always pearl clutching. Oh my God, China and Russia are just doing all these things. And it's like, bitch, we know that you're doing it too. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's
Oh,
impossible.
100%, man.
You
Like,
know,
for
like,
sure there.
like all the stuff from the Edward Snowden revelations and everything, like they
Yep.
are literally wiretapping the entire planet. Like,
Yep.
and so it becomes this weird thing. It's like civilians don't have any power at all anymore. And I'm saying that maybe we never did. I don't know. But when it comes to, like, I think if you polled most civilians, they'd be like, why can't nobody do that? You know what I mean? Like,
I
like how do we,
I
can we safeguard it? Like, is there a
Actually,
way
I think civilians have more power than they think. I think that they're being led to believe they don't.
expand on that?
It's the people. We the people. We're selling. I want to sound like a fucking American right now. Have more power than we think. If you go after it, but if you believe that you don't, because they try to create that environment where you don't, they're gonna keep you down. You have fucking more. You have more power than you think. Freedom of information. If you want to know something, you can ask for it. But you just have to go through wade through the fucking red tape to get there.
Yeah, they always deliberately make you frustrated. It's
See,
like trying to get a Bell customer
exactly.
service agent to
That's what
credit
we're
your account.
talking about.
Yeah.
Let's simplify it down to the lowest level. Go be a Karen for a minute. I want to talk to the manager.
Yeah.
If you put the time in, you can talk to the manager and get a result. The government wants to fucking weigh you down, so you can't. So for people who say, "Oh no, there's nothing we can do," like no, that's not true. Yes, you can. You just have to have the moral resolve to do it. Don't think you can be put down. Like understand your charter rights and freedoms and blah 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 and all that fucking shit. But don't tell me, oh, I can't do this and I can't do that. Like, yeah, you can. Just put the effort into it. Like, do it.
Another facet of that is in our intelligence agencies. and how yeah, I know.
Sorry,
I know.
I should
No,
have hit mute. Ceases right on. Thanks for
well,
coming out.
is it have we outgrown the way that intelligence agencies are set up to um, investigate non-domestic international situations? Like,
I
is it out of date? Do we need to revamp that system?
I I wish, and fuck, I hope I'm wrong. Like, so our intelligence agency is CSIS, and I just like fuck, man. I've worked with what's called ODA overseas, other departmental agencies,
Right.
which means CIA,
Yeah.
and get dudes like that. We are very reactive in our intelligence community, and this is my opinion. So hang on, because I'm sure these fuckers are watching. I think we're too reactive and not as proactive as we could be. And if we are, and I don't know about it, then wicked. That's even better. Like if
Yeah.
we're that, if CSIS is active internationally, and I don't know from what I've done in the military, because I wasn't special operations. I'm not saying that. Had a lot of special operations guys work me, but I was very specialized. Let's just kind of leave it at that. Then I worked with a lot of ODA dudes and never saw a Canadian guy there. I worked with fucking CIA guys and DA. Well, there's a bunch of dudes, but because a lot of drugs in Afghanistan, we had to burn all their shit. It was everybody volunteered for that. We're gonna go burn these weed fields. And I was like, I'm in. But I don't think I'm not sure if our intelligence community is like is aggressive as it should be, considering the geopolitical climate. And yeah, man, I wish they were more. And if they are, good. If they're not, you fucking should be.
Well, we probably need them more now than ever, at least to be effective. From a Reuters report, Russian forces have started the first stage of exercises ordered by President Vladimir Putin to simulate preparation for the launch of tactical nuclear weapons, the defense ministry said on Tuesday. Nuclear analysts say the exercises are designed as a warning signal by Putin to deter the West from wading more deeply into the war in Ukraine. Now, this is where I circle back to Putin and his legacy tour of this war and how he's trying to build a legacy for himself. You can't trust men that are on their way out in situations like this not to do the crazy thing. I think,
I don't know.
it was different when it was Khrushchev and Kennedy. The everything was different back then. Nuclear war was literally on everyone's mind all the time. Duck and cover was the thing at the time. Kids were traumatized because they didn't know if they were going to get incinerated any day now, because of the way that fear was used to stoke the public into hating communists and everything like that. And they had good reason to. I'm not saying that there was a big nuclear buildup on both sides. But the idea that a nuclear weapon in 2024 can be used as a first strike strategy is so dangerous, because is there anyone that thinks the United States wouldn't respond with a nuclear weapon?
Oh, listen, and I'm just giving my opinion.
Sure.
It doesn't matter how crazy Putin is. I don't believe, personally, this is personally me, that the red button's going to get pushed, because it's
I
the
hope
end of,
you're right.
it's the
Absolutely.
fucking it's the end of the world, and everybody knows that, even Putin. And even if, in his arrogance, let's just say he's on his deathbed, he says, "Fuck it, I'm going to end the world." The dudes under him are going to go, "No, we're not doing that." There's no scenario where that's happening.
There's a part of me that wants to think that if he uses a small tactical nuke in Ukraine,
It just escalates it.
no, but there's a part of me that wants to think that the United States will like aerial bombard the hell out of St. Petersburg and Moscow, and then go on TV and say, or go to the UN and say, we could absolutely use a nuclear weapon against your people, but we're not going to. And we suggest you stand down now.
That might happen, but the U.S. does not want. They want to stay in a proxy war. They're honestly, the whole fucking West, all of NATO, wants to stay in a proxy war. And what's worse is you got a goddamn U.S. election coming out next year, where you got my fucking favorite fucking reality show, Trump is running. The guy's supposed to be going to jail, or is he going to be the president? Like, what's it going to be? And I don't know what the fuck that guy's going to do. But at the end of the day, I don't give a shit what he says. Nobody is going to push a red button.
Well,
the only guys going to push a red button first would be like a small tack nuke into Ukraine, and then it'll be a European response first. The last thing it'll be is a North American response.
So Ryan, the defense ministry mentioned, Ryan, is that the Russian defense ministry? So the defense ministry in Russia said the first stage of the exercise involved Iskander and Kyzhel missiles. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It is aimed at ensuring that the units and equipment are ready for the, quote, combat use of non-strategic nuclear weapons. So that's basically a small tactical nuke, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's scary shit. Like I mean, they could just be posturing and saber rattling, right?
Like, not go there, man. Like, I just don't even understand what the fuck this war is about in Ukraine.
Well, it depends who you ask.
Depends who you ask.
Russian colonialism versus NATO encroachment, right?
Why don't you guys just sit down and say, okay, all you fuckers that want to be Russians, where do you live? Okay, all you guys that don't want to be Russians, where do you live? All right, draw a line on the fucking map, and we're done here. Now we can stop killing people.
Yeah, I don't think Crimea.
I know I'm simplifying it. I know I am, but like, man, I've fucking been to war, and it just is senseless death. It results in no fucking gain. I'm telling you right now.
And there's things that like prop up people like Putin, or at least empower him, like the lack of response for invading and annexing Crimea.
Yeah,
that just probably emboldened him. That's
Well, he wants another Iron Curtain, man. I know what he wants.
Yeah, he misses the glory days. He, like when he became president, he reinstituted the old Soviet Union national anthem. Yeah. He's an ex-KGB guy, so he's a Cold War spy is what he was, right? So it's like
if he fucking quote unquote whatever wins looks like in Ukraine, you think he's done? No, Poland's next. Fucking Hungary's already on board. Czech, at least fucking Slovakia is gonna, bend over. Or he's going to go after them. He's trying to rebuild an Iron Curtain. And maybe I'm crazy. I'm just telling you what he's doing.
I don't think you're crazy. I think he's a little nuts now. And I don't think that he understands, or at least the rest of the world seems to agree that the Russian military was not as formidable as they thought they were.
Well, it's very interesting. If I'm going to tell you something I can tell you is we thought if the Russian military moved into Ukraine, the shit would be done in a month, and they're not. I'm like, wow, the Russian military is more fucked and shitty than we ever thought it ever was. That's what the fucking military dudes think right now in any country.
And they have some allies. Belarus, it's another report where Russia said last year. Yeah, Belarus, where Russia said last year it was deploying tactical nuclear weapons, will also be involved. The two countries have said the drills involve missile forces in Russia's southern military district, which lies adjacent to Ukraine, and also includes parts of Ukraine that Russia now controls. That would be like the Donbass region, I believe.
Nobody's going to fire a nuke. Nobody, because once you fire one, you know what? My best advice to everybody: as soon as you hear the first nuke get fired, take your family, go have a picnic, or go to the bar, because it's the end of the days. That is the end of the days. The first fucking nuclear weapon that's ever going to be fired is the end of the fucking world. I'm telling you right now, it will not happen ever.
We're in hour one. I'm hoping Ryan wants to join us so we can just
come on, Ryan. We're gonna lighten shit up. Let's just start talking about war. We're gonna say Ryan needs to jump in because I need to go have a smoke. Come on, Lance.
That's right. I forgot you don't smoke up there.
I know.
Oh wait, I was just hold on before you do that. Give me 1 second. Talk amongst yourself for a moment. Hold on.
No, okay.
No, you can't fuck off. How was your guys' long weekend pod last night, man?
Oh God, let's not get back into that. Listen, I do want to say something that you just brought up a really good point. I just read a book by an author named Annie Jacobson, and she is an absolute monster when it comes to investigative journalism. And she wrote a book, and it's called Nuclear War, a Scenario. And what she does is she's gathered a bunch
Really?
but she's got so many contacts in different military installations, like different like levels of office, including secretaries of defense she's friends with and everything. So she interviewed them, and she said, I want to do a second by second scenario where sorry, James, I was trying to stop it. Where she goes, I want to do a second by second scenario where what would happen if, and she used North Korea as the example though.
That checks out, yeah.
And it starts with minute 0 when they hit the button, and what happens, what sensors go off, what satellite surveillance programs kick into action. But it breaks it down. This book has got I think it's 75 chapters, we'll call it. And it's literally a second by second, by minute, by 5 minute, what happens 10 minutes from then. It goes into great detail about the nuclear football that the U.S. president carries around with him with a military aid. And I'm telling you, for anybody that's interested in what we're talking about here tonight, you got to read this book. Annie Jacobson, Nuclear War, A Scenario. And get the audiobook because she actually reads it herself. And it's chilling. It kept me up at night listening to it going, Jesus Christ, this is something that could, not saying it's probable, but it could happen. And she breaks it down with every single senior military official, senior politician, like people that have been in the game for 30, 40 years, like yourself, about what will happen when, if that day ever comes. And it's fucking earth-shattering. It will change your life. I don't stop thinking about this book now. Every time I watch something on the news, and I saw that Reuters report, that's why I threw it up for James to read to you. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh fuck, there's the book. She's right. And it was she tweeted the Reuters report today and went, oh God, here we go.
I want to believe that no matter what megalomaniac fucking wingnut's in charge and says push the red button, that there's guys that are actually on the red button that go, no, we're not doing this, man. This is fucked up.
Which we went through that once in history, right? Where a guy said, I don't believe it. I don't think this is
not right. We're not doing this.
And thank God, thank fucking whoever.
And to your point, Chris, there's a good chance that it's one of the most dangerous and risky strategies for a leader to do because of the military personnel under him that might be like, whoa. If you want to increase the probability of a coup happening in your country, be a leader that wants to push that button. And maybe there's some senior advisors that are a little bit more sane that'll be like, no, I don't think so.
Well, so far we're correct because, my entire time, and I'm going to go back before fucking counterinsurgency warfare, back when we were training to fight Russians, it's we always believed nobody was going to push that button. Now, fast forward to today. How many years are they into this fucking Ukraine thing? 3 years? No red button pushed. I'm like, yeah, no one's going to push that button, man.
This is the third time the posturing has happened, though.
Yeah, but we believe it. There's a bunch of saber rallying bullshit talking.
I think it's Macron.
I just don't think it'll happen. I just don't think it.
Yeah, I agree, but I think it's the recent balls that France found. And Macron,
he's really navigating a bunch of space there.
Yeah, he kind of is. He's really kind of pushing some envelopes, and I think it's fatigue. I think it's world leader fatigue that they're just they're fucking broke. They don't want to keep paying for this to continue.
Yeah,
and I think you're right. It's saber rattling on all sides, and I think he's just waiting for another nation to maybe step up and say the same thing. And once they get enough, sanctions didn't work. Sanctions aren't working now.
No, somebody just needs to kill Putin straight out.
I wonder if you look at it objectively with those two main conflicts: Israel, Palestine, Ukraine, Russia. If there's not an argument to be made that if you looked at some sort of probability scale, that Putin and Netanyahu might be even on this. Look at the shit that Netanyahu's done that's so brazen. Was it Damascus that they took out a consulate office where Hamas military, that was Chris, you were saying earlier that you didn't have the right to infringe on Pakistan's sovereignty when you were fighting in Afghanistan. That makes sense.
Correct.
But then Israel goes and bombs Hamas personnel in a foreign country and kills not just the people that were in that building that were Hamas military people, but other people as well. And then does anyone really believe that the Iranian president was killed because of fog?
No, he was stoned to death. He was stoned to death by the side of a mountain.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know I haven't really followed the commentary on that, but are there people that are openly stating this looks like an Israeli?
I haven't heard it. I haven't heard it yet, but you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Iran doesn't use it as an excuse to escalate, and they'll blame somebody, and they'll say,
if you fucking do not think that fucking Israeli intelligence, is not the fucking shit.
Oh yeah, no, we can't. You can't.
Buddy's helicopter accident was not an accident. I'm telling you right now, man.
Yeah, well, they say, it was very foggy. I guess a guy that's charged with transporting the nation's top political leader apparently doesn't know how to fly in fog. So
why would he even take off? There's fog there. Why don't we just wait?
Why don't we wait?
I must get to the meeting. Like
he was, and you know what he was there for literally a ribbon cutting ceremony or something. It was something that was totally fucking useless. Why he was there. So.
Well, Israel operates in the shadows a lot of times. And I know that sometimes that nation has to, but I mean, they still haven't declared their nuclear arsenal. They still pretend that doesn't exist.
There isn't
right?
one.
Yeah.
Don't ask.
That's right.
Chris, you want to go for a smoke? I know you're itching. You're itching.
Please just tell each other whimsical anecdotes, and I'll be right back.
Army Kris, what a great guy, eh?
That was very moving. That story that he told about the kid.
Yeah. You know what? I was doing the Googling while you guys were talking about it, and I was trying not to listen to him because it's hard to hear as a dad.
I think he's a lot stronger than I am. I don't know, like that. As a poet, I would have retired immediately. You know what I mean? This is too much for me. No, just hearing the story would have done it. Yeah, back at the base.
There once was a man from Tikrit who had no soles on the shoes of his feet. See, I could be a poet too.
You could be a poet. Every time you bring up something like that, I always think of Douglas being a Saddam impersonator and making billions of dollars.
It would be so good. It would be so good.
I wonder if we can write a play for him where it's a musical and it's like Madame Hussein or something.
Kind of like what was that one Hitler and
Flowers for Hitler?
Flowers for Hitler.
Or Springtime or whatever.
Springtime for Hitler. Yeah, let's do something like that, but with that
would be
Saddam.
Honestly, I think it would make him a big star.
I think so too. Fuck yeah. But seriously, if you haven't checked out that book I was talking about, and believe me, I'm not. I she follows me on Twitter. I follow her. We're like Twitter pals, but I'm not getting anything for pushing it. But this is like the fourth time I brought it up. It's because it's stuck in my fucking brain. It's good.
I've watched it twice, and I'm going to watch it for a third time. But that documentary, Turning Point, the bomb. And the Cold War and the bomb or whatever. The last chapter, she might be in it.
Oh, really? Annie Jacobson? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
I think I could be making a mistake. There's a couple people that are in it that I've been talking to behind the scenes, trying to get them on the show. But that documentary, if you haven't seen it, is amazing. It's I don't know if you like historical war documentaries.
It's my favorite thing.
Yeah, mine too. And it's so well done. The first one that they did was the first, because they have a two now. So they have a Turning Point, the Cold War and the bomb, and Turning Point. I think it was the 9/11 Chronicles or something like that. I can't remember what it's called.
Okay.
Where they showed that the Pentagon never got hit by a plane. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Fuck. Here we go.
No,
there goes YouTube.
You sent me an interesting job posting today, and I was like, I'm thinking of applying.
That's why I sent it to you. I thought, you know what? I saw it get posted, and I went, "That's a fucking neat idea." And I like the idea of what they want to do. Obviously, like it's interesting to me, but I'm too set in my, as I call it, my grown up job. I wouldn't have the time, right? But
well, luckily, I have no grown-up job.
well,
so.
and this is what but it's something that's right up your alley. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and I have a guy there. It's Steve Paikin. Like he's a friend of mine. So that's like an actual friend, right? Like so that's I should have lunch with him again and maybe see if he can go to bat for me because that would be dope. But
I'd love to.
You know, I am a white guy, and I read the 17 paragraphs on the bottom of that job posting about
inclusion and I was. It's every single. It doesn't matter where you go. If you got more than 30 employees, every job posting now is 9 pages long with disclaimers. So it's just the world we live in. And you know what? Okay, sure, no problem.
That's fine.
If that makes you feel like a better corporate citizen. As long as you're doing the thing and you're not just being performative in your job postings, then I go with it. Good for you. No harm, no foul.
I wonder if it would be fun, to like if I legally changed my name to like James Muhammad, and just sent my resume.
Jesus Christ!
Just to see, I'll get a call back this time. And I get there, and they're like, "Hey, James, I'll keep the beard because the beard looks like a Muslim beard, you know." And just to see, you know,
I identify as a condor with a 12-foot wingspan.
I identify as a prankster.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, obviously, I don't want to go into too many details about it, just in case. You know, we don't want people fucking it up if you do decide to do it. But I think you'd be great for that. To be honest.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, it seems like something that I would love to do. It would. The tough part would be relocating to Toronto because of my kids.
But it's a year contract, right? And it said a lot of it's hybrid. I did notice there was a lot of hybrid opportunity there as well. So just run in, grab the camera equipment and do it from up there. I think it's a Canadian thing. I think it would look great with your backdrop for your backyard.
Yeah, I live in a cabin in the woods. It's
it's right. You're the anti-conspiracy guy, but you're in the place where a conspiracy guy would be.
It's so funny because like I don't know where I used to stand on like I think JFK was an obvious conspiracy, right? I don't think it was Lee Harvey Oswald killed him by himself.
No, I think it was him, but I don't think he acted alone. I do think he was the patsy that he said he was in the end because he knew he was going to die anyway. So what the hell? Who cares? It's not like he's going to get any of the benefits he was probably promised by whoever it was. That I can't. I don't have a firm grasp on. Have you seen those interviews with that Secret Service guy that was on his deathbed? You heard?
I've seen honestly, I've consumed so much JFK. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I was so that was my first. That was what broke my cherry on my fascination with conspiracy theory, and it was always JFK. And like ever since I was like 12, I was like, well, something's off on this, you know. And it was
when you watched JFK by Oliver Stone. Is that
that too? Yeah, I think it was around that point, 91, 92, wasn't it? So so it was like that was like kind of what, but it made me more skeptical of everything, including conspiracy theories, right? So, and then to watch it morph into what we have now, where people don't believe fucking birds are real and the world is flat and fucking we never landed on the moon, that kind of shit. Yeah, it's fascinating to me. Like conspiracy fascinates me, the way it just grapples and decays the human brain and the ability to actually think rationally and come up with like anything that you're not spoon fed by some blogger that you just happen to fucking read one day and all of a sudden that's all you do, you know? Like, so I think a show like that, I think it's a good, and if you read in the thing too, it wasn't about like, it wasn't to be performative. It was, they said somebody that is good at, you know, researching and actually bringing facts to the table. And I thought that you made me feel a little better about it. You know, like, it was like, okay, at least they're not just looking to sensationalize it. Like certain shows that we watch daily sometimes around here. Like it was just nice to see that they actually like made that clear. It's like, I'm not looking for a conspiracy theorist to come here. I want you to debunk a conspiracy theory, or get in behind the minds of a conspiracy theorist and tell us why. And that was what the Sheeple Shepherd was all about when we first started. It was like my inaugural podcast, right? Like with Ashley, it was because we wanted to take pseudoscience, conspiracy theory, and just like break it apart and just be like, why the fuck are you people so weird? You know, I don't think RFK is coming back, you know, or JFK is coming back. I don't think, you know, like
JFK, you mean? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry. It was Junior. That's right. Forgot. Senior retired. He's done.
Yeah.
No more.
Special needs Billy Joel. If you've seen the picture, I don't know if you remember.
No,
Looks like-
Army Kris is back.
I'm back.
And have you one of the movies that made me more kind of open, not to conspiracy theories, but to just because that has a negative connotation to it, just that phrase, right?
Yeah.
But when Robert McNamara did that documentary, The Fog of War,
Yes.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yes.
that would
Loved
to
it.
me, I didn't walk away thinking, oh, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I walked away thinking the guy that did the shit is telling us the shit he did.
Yeah.
And he was in position to do the shit. It's kind of like a lighter version of David Wallace. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
the guy that did the things is now blowing the whistle on his own things, right? So,
Yeah.
So my takeaway on that movie, James, was you always pick on the bad guy is always the evil guy, right? So
course.
whoever lost the war is the bad guy, right?
Right.
Whoever won the war is always the good guy.
Yeah.
And McNamara said, "Hey, man, we fucking firebombed Japan.
yeah, they didn't have to drop nukes. Yeah.
We knew we had wooden buildings and stuff, so they dropped incendiary bombs." He said, "Hey, this is what we did." You talk about war crimes. That's a fucking loose term these days. It really is.
Yeah.
And what the United States has committed fucking more quote unquote war crimes, like fucking badass shit, if you will, than any country ever. But because we won the war, they're the good guys. But that's not quite how it works.
One of the reasons why Daniel Ellsberg blew the whistle on the Pentagon Papers and gave it to the Washington Post was because he had read strategic planning documents that talked about scenarios for the United States using nuclear weapons in a first strike capacity against Russia. And they had graphs explaining how many people would die. And when all was said and done, it was like 1 billion people.
Jesus.
Yep.
And this was at a time when the population of the
checks
planet
out.
was like 3.5 billion.
Yeah.
You know, so there's like, yeah, shit was insane back at post World War II to like, you know, the late 70s was crazy. Like just the policies and the planning and the strategic documents and the scenarios that they had mapped out for potential nuclear war was just evil. It was just evil. Daniel Ellsberg called it the most evil scenario, military planning scenario in human history, with the amount of people that it would have killed if they actually followed through on it.
That checks out.
That's fucking wild. That's wild.
100 holocausts is what they
Yeah.
described it as. Yeah. Something
God
like that.
damn it.
Yeah.
What a happy fucking podcast we're having.
Well,
Well,
hey,
I couldn't think of three better people to break it apart though, because at least we inject a little bit of humor into it. I hope.
plus, I'm only drinking water tonight, and I feel like I'm doing a far better job.
So what happened last night? Because I missed it. I want to know what happened.
Nothing.
Nothing.
We're not rehashing that
Nothing
shit.
happened. Okay. Because I've
No.
been there. That's
It's
okay.
the show's still live. Go watch it. You'll be fine.
Okay.
I have a pattern, you see, Chris. And my pattern is that-
Apparently, we're going to talk about it.
no. This is I'm
I didn't realize
gonna be self-deprecating. My pattern seems to be I start the show fine, and by the time hour 3 rolls around or hour 4, I get a little bit like this. And
That's
when
fine.
I get a little bit like
Okay,
that,
I'm the same way, man.
Yeah, but hang on.
when I get a little bit like that, I become a little obstinate. I don't really understand the context of what's being said, and then I get a little defensive. And then if I say the next part, Ryan will say I'm blaming other people. But really, at the end of the day,
Here it
every
is.
single drunk person should be handled in a certain way. They're there, Jamesy. They're there. Just relax. Like
Pat
that's
him on his head.
that should be a little bit better. Yeah, pat me on the head. And instead of telling me to shut the fuck up, because you tell a drunk guy to shut the fuck up, then shit's gonna get real, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I flipped the table on my own show. Douglas told me to shut the fuck up. Ryan told me to shut the fuck up. Ashley had a resting shut the fuck up James face, right? Like, and it's you know what I love though, and this is the difference between my time at the Crier Media and my time independent, is that I can count on Ryan and Ashley and Douglas to not carry it with them the next day.
No.
You know what I mean? Like it happened. It's done. I owned it. I emailed you guys and I owned it. And I was just like, and everyone could move on. When I was at Crier, it was like for 3 weeks, I felt like I was in a doghouse all the time. Whenever
and we kept you blocked on Twitter for 6 months.
I did not.
No, it's funny. We've all kind of learned how to deal with each other when it comes to shit like this. And once you hit the end stream button on the show and it stops, the rule is wait at least 12 to 18 hours. If somebody does text, don't reply. Everybody just take a minute. And then the next day it's like, okay, let's talk,
Yeah, fair enough.
And it's like you say, no hard feelings, from Douglas, no hard feelings from anybody. Everybody was fine.
Yeah, we all made
it was
we do this because we enjoy doing it. I enjoy having good conversations with intelligent people, and right now I'm talking to intelligent people. And at the end of the day, we're not getting paid to do this. We do this because we want to do it, and we want to provide people that are watching and listening right now with fucking meaningful conversations.
Yeah, entertainment. Like it entertains me to have these conversations with you guys. So why not let people in on it? It's like we're all sitting in a pub anyway.
That's what we do. Yeah. That's what we do.
And I actually look at this podcast as a vehicle that opens doors to other things. So I don't get paid doing this podcast per se. No. But I've gotten 2 book deals out of it.
Yeah, nice. We've done a bunch of side shit and grew our own brands. Kris is one of them too. Kris is working on a project now that I don't know if you can talk about yet, but that's doing that was probably a lot of fun, I would imagine. And good. Thank you. Speaking of Mrs. Lindley, she's here now.
Oh, she brought you beer?
Yeah, she did.
Good woman.
That's it.
That's why I love you guys. I want a hand to come in and give me a beer, but I don't have my hand. So.
I'm sticking with the Mexico thing. I'm drinking a chelada.
Oh my God, you're still stuck on it.
Oh yeah, dude.
Well, good for you though.
Today it's Tuesday, right? And we're both back to like our regular work day.
Life, yeah.
And so it was like, okay, we're both home after like 6. It's like, fuck it, I don't feel like cooking. So it was like, let's just throw some dogs on the grill. And Ashley smothered hers in queso and.
So you ate Korean food tonight.
Queso and pickled jalapenos. You know what I mean? Like we're still in Mexico mode because it was such a good time. So
why does I like Corona. I like light beer, so I like Corona and lime. I'm just one of those guys. But in Mexico, Corona tastes like garbage.
No,
why
you know what?
Oh, I thought
get it in the can.
Around.
Get it in the can in Mexico, and it's fucking divine.
James, do you think that? Because I thought Corona was better down there.
Yeah, 100%.
I didn't. Yeah. I don't know. And someone told me, one of the people that worked at one of the resorts that I stayed at in the Riviera Maya told me, it wasn't yours, it was a different one. Told me that it's because where they store it or they basically attribute it to weather.
Yeah, it's sunlight too because it has a clear bottle. Yeah. The reason why beer here comes in a brown bottle or a green bottle is to keep sun out of it, and that's what makes it stinky, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So, like the tap beer at the resort was Modelo, which was really good still on tap. It was fine. It was ice cold. But because we had the platinum upgrade, so we had the 24-hour room service, and all I had to do was on the app on my phone send me 3 more beers, and some guy would show up at my door 20 minutes later with 3 ice cold beers, but they brought it in cans. So the cans of beer there were fucking on point. And I mean, it's 40 degrees outside right now in Mexico and down where we were out near Playa del Carmen. And it was the most refreshing. Like at one point it was so hot at 9 o'clock in the morning. I looked at myself and I'm doing the alcoholic. I don't give a fuck. And I cracked an ice cold beer out on the patio, and my neighbor's next door. He's a recovering alcoholic. I'm like, oh, good morning. As he's sipping his coffee out on the porch, I'm having a fucking beer. It was, it was really good. So I don't know if maybe you had a shit experience. Was it bottled or was it canned?
Bottled.
Okay. So maybe it is the bottle thing.
It was skunky. It was skunkier in Mexico than it is here.
Wow.
I can't speak to this because where I go in Mexico, the only beer you drink is Pacifico.
I was telling them actually, some of the staff that I got to know a little bit while I was there for the week. You strike up conversations and stuff, and they ask you where you're from, and I said, well, I've got a friend that actually has a place down here, And do you think for the life of me I could remember the fucking name of the goddamn town? Was it Sayulita?
Yes, that's where
I got it. Okay, so it was right. Okay, yeah. So
that's where I hang out.
So I found out something neat about regional cuisine down there too, because when we went to the taco stand in our resort, they do corn tortillas differently, and I didn't like them, and it was like, they had that raw taste. So our guy, he was the shuttle driver. He goes, my family's from Mexico City. He says, you want good tortilla, you go to Mexico City. He says it's not. He goes, I hate them here. He goes, what they do here to tortilla is a crime. I went, oh shit.
Wow.
Okay, at least I got that from somebody that's a native.
Are they packaged?
No, they're fresh.
No? Okay.
Yeah, no, they make them all fresh, right?
That's how they make them.
Yeah, it was that sauce. They just, if he would have put it on the flat top for 30 seconds, I would have been fine with it. But it had that raw corn flavor to it that I just didn't like it, right? So it was. But it was neat. Did
you have a chance to take a day trip to Tulum by any chance?
No, we didn't. We actually we decided against leaving because it was Ashley's first trip anywhere, right? It was, so I said, get what we paid for. We'll just enjoy the resort. Don't worry about it. We'll do a day trip maybe next time once you get a little more comfortable with the travel thing. Because I've done the day trip things, and they do have a pretty good like shuttle service for the place that'll take you into town, just drop you off and pick you up 3 hours later.
Yeah.
But my problem is now in Mexico, you can't fucking smoke anywhere, especially in like Playa del Carmen or in
you can in Sayulita.
Well, yeah, it's maybe a little different there, but literally.
What is that, an outlaw town, Chris?
Well, yeah.
Not so much, but they just don't give a fuck.
Yeah, well, in Playa del Carmen, if you get caught with an open package of cigarettes, not even lit, just open package, you can get a $300 US fine for just having open cigarettes.
So where did you smoke?
We smoked on the resort. Technically, they're not supposed to. They're not supposed to have smoking areas, but they do because they just don't bother them, right? They're not going to fuck with tourists. That's the number one revenue.
That's
right?
their money. That's their money.
Yeah. So but if you're in a town, like if you're in town somewhere, you're no longer technically, you're a tourist, but you're not. That's all your money's not getting spent in town. You're buying trinkets and fucking tchotchkes. You're not doing big business. They'll fuck with you. And they said if you don't pay it up front right there, it's 3 days in the fucking clink. It's like shit. The World Health Organization, if you Google it, has stated that Mexico has the most progressive, they'll call it, and stringent anti-smoking laws in the world right now.
Which by definition is correct. But here's the thing. When I went down last time, I was scared about that. And I got down, and I know a lot of people in Sayulita because I go there like fucking 2 times a year. I know everybody down there. They're like, fucking don't worry about it, man. Yeah. You smoke on the street, you smoke in the bar, you smoke wherever. Nothing changed there because it's not a major tourist center, if you will.
It's worth not smoking for a few hours to go to Tulum, just in case you go back.
Yeah,
Tulum is one of the most beautiful places ever. The beach that they have there is like, it's the only time I've ever been to a beach that was like turquoise, and it was as warm as like a hot tub. And where the pyramids are, you have to sort of go down this like cliff, these staircases that are on this cliff or whatever, and you go down there, and the beach is maybe like 40 yards long or something, and it's got like almost like a lagoon part to it with a little waterfall, and it's turquoise and it's beautiful, and it's like 75 degrees the water or something like that. It's amazing. It's one of the best places I think I've ever been in my life. The beaches in Peru were also really nice. So I don't know if you guys have been down there.
Not to Peru, no.
It's on my list.
No,
Costa Rica was nice too.
My next one is I've got 2 bucket lists right now, and it's Costa Rica and Turks and Caicos. But Turks and Caicos is so fucking expensive.
Yeah, don't bring ammo.
Yeah, don't bring any bullets. That guy's getting fucked, eh?
Like what happened? No, he's not the first guy, man. All these Americans just somehow cannot travel without ammunition in their fucking bags. And
they just forget.
I just don't know what it is. Like, could you just not bring guns and ammunition everywhere you go? They can't do it. It's just in their DNA. So there's this one guy goes down there, he gets fucking arrested. Another guy's gonna, and all in my news feed is like, yeah, all these Americans continuously get arrested bringing in ammunition and guns to Turks and Caicos, and they're going to jail, and they're like, what happened?
What do you mean I can't bring it?
Like, what is wrong with you people, man? You don't have to bring your guns and ammo everywhere.
Yeah. Especially to a place like that. Like, Jesus Christ.
Fuck,
You know what
man.
I mean?
I got caught. I'll tell you, the only time I got caught with ammo, I was coming out of Bosnia in 2003. I was going on leave, coming back home.
Yeah.
And I had like a couple loose rounds in my kit bag that I didn't know about. And it was like the fucking Simpsons when Mr. Burns unleashes the hounds. I was in Germany. I was in Frankfurt. I'm going through the security, and suddenly there's 5 German shepherds coming at me. I'm on the ground, like, what the fuck's going on, man? They're like, they pull like 1 bullet, maybe 2, out of my kit bag. I'm going, well, fuck, dude. I gave my NATO ID and said, dude, calm down, man. Bring your dogs down. I just want to go home for fucking a couple weeks.
I missed it. It was next to my fucking cigarettes. It was stuck in the cigarette pack or something. Yeah,
like, fucking legit, man. Like, I missed it. Like, normally you should check your shit. That was
the closest,
on me.
Closest I ever came to that.
Funny.
The closest I ever came to that was when I stole that stun gun from my motel in Myrtle Beach and tried to bring it back, but my friends were like,
"Stun gun."
We did the same thing in Myrtle Beach. We bought one when we were down there just to have it.
Oh, why,
dude! I didn't buy it. I told the story before, but I'll tell it again. It's a funny story. But we were in.
I want to hear this. Yeah,
we stayed at the Grand Strand Motel, which I believe you have stayed in as well, right?
That's exactly where. Yeah.
And so my buddies and I went out, and long story short, we met these people at a pool hall, and then they invited us to their apartment to like party or whatever.
Yeah.
There's 2 guys and a girl. Me and the girl took off, and I brought her back to the motel, but it was like midnight, and the motel office was closed.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I tried the motel office door anyways, and it was open, even though it was pitch black inside. Because the reason why I did is because I forgot my key. So I went, looked on the wall, found my room key, and when I turned around behind the counter, I found a stun gun. And I just, without even thinking, I just put it in my pocket and went.
Which I would have done as well. Good for you. Yeah.
Me and the girl did our thing, and then
it sounds like the beginning of a Dateline.
Yeah, 45 minutes later, 45 minutes later or so, we left. Went back to the party. And when I got there, it was eerily quiet. And my friends were sitting on like one couch or whatever. And there's these 2 guys sitting on this other bed or whatever. And I was like, what's going on? And my buddy Dan's like, we're pretty sure that Pops was the guy's name. And he was one of those guys that would make money on the beach putting braids in people's hairs. Right? In people's hair. Yeah. And he's like, we're pretty sure that Pop stole Daryl's wallet. And I'm like, oh. And so I looked on the bed that he was sitting on, and I saw that one part of the sheet that was tucked under the mattress and above the box spring looked a little weird. Lumpy. So I walked over and I put my hand in. I pulled my buddy's wallet out, and the guy grabbed my hand, and I'm like, well, what the fuck, man? He's just like, what the fuck are you doing? Reaching into my shit. And I'm like, this is my buddy's wallet. And he wouldn't let go of my hand. So I took the stun gun and I stun gunned him on the thigh. And then booked it. We just booked it. And we ran out. I was like, and we're running to the car and we're like giggling. They're not even chasing us, right? And I'm just like, I can't believe I fucking stun gunned somebody. Like, what the fuck's going on? And we're like laughing and scared at the same time. Yeah. And then when we drove back, because we drove to Myrtle Beach, we were in Pennsylvania, and I pulled it out. I'm like, guys, I still got this. And they stopped the car immediately. They forced me to throw it over this cliff in fucking Pennsylvania. I'm like, I could have thrown it in the garbage, I guess.
Oh, yeah, that's Dateline. It's got Dateline written all over it. That guy's dead now. They're looking for the murderer. Yeah, right. Keith Morrison. James was having a shocking experience.
Well, listen, day. You steal my buddy. I'm home team, baby. Like if you're traveling with me, you're my brother.
Yeah, for sure.
If my brother gets his wallet stolen and I can get it back for him, I'm gonna get it back for him. And if some guy stops me from getting my buddy's wallet back and I have a stun gun, you're gonna get fucking shot.
And if I gotta rob a motel office after hours to do it, I'm fucking doing it.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh God, that's funny.
I don't think that's correct, Saucy C. Which every time you leave your house, you do something. Fuck, that's not true. I don't think that's true.
Oh, I'm not sure. That she might be correct, man.
I consider what I did self-defense and helping out my friend. That's what I could mean. Imagine being in a foreign country and you lose your ID, your cash, your
you could have been fucked to get home. Like your guy, if he had no wallet, like fucking that does suck. Like I'm sorry, but yeah, you take my shit. We're gonna have words. We're gonna have issues. Yeah.
I've never stun gunned a guy before or after that. Everyone needs to get one stun gunning incident under their belt. Right.
I agree with that.
Yeah, we bought one just for fun while we were down there because it was like $20, whatever, right? From like one of those stupid gift shops, the Strand gift shops there. And we the only reason why we bought it because we're like our buddy Zach. We're like we're gonna stun gun you when we get back to the hotel, just see what happens. He's like, yeah, okay, I don't care. He goes, I've never had it. Let's do it. So we got him in the leg really quick.
How did it hurts? Apparently.
Oh yeah, he was not impressed afterwards. He was not happy.
Judging by the screaming that Pops displayed when I did it to him, and I did it to his ribcage.
He was not happy to be.
Aw.
He was. Bye. I love you. She's got no pants on. Yeah.
I love you too. Then.
No, he definitely became from willing volunteer to not a happy participant in that program.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's a feel good situation for sure.
Yeah. Anyway,
that was probably like we asked Army Kris. You were on the show once a long time ago, and we were talking about where in the world, other than Battlefield, have you felt the most unsafe? And my answer to that question was, and I've been to places. I've been to Lima. I've been to a cockfight in Lima. Okay, but the most unsafe I've ever felt in my life.
chickens too.
Yeah, was a few places. One was Tennessee, one was LA.
Wow, really?
Little Beach. Dude, there's something about like it's such a schizophrenic place, man. United States. I've met so many beautiful, amazing people there. I have a lot of American friends. I have American relatives. But some of the most evil sociopaths I've ever ran into.
It hides in familiarity, right? It hides.
I can tell you guys where it was. Which everybody thinks it is.
Okay.
Is Belize City. Now, if you Google Belize City, they're like, it's the most fucking dangerous fucking place, fucking blah, 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 blah. Well, and don't get me wrong, me and my buddy Dave.
Oh, God. Anytime Dave's involved.
Ryan knows.
Classic Dave. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've hung out with Dave.
Yeah, so Dave's my best friend. He's my roommate, my ex-sergeant major, his former fucking Canadian Special Operations Regiment, blah, 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 Airborne Regiment. Like, we go anywhere. Anywhere they say it's shitty and dangerous, like, fuck it, we're going. And we were in Belize City, and I get what they're saying. And our Belizean friends, our Belizean host said, don't go downtown. So guess what we did?
Of course. First place.
Went downtown.
Yeah.
And we were in the shittiest part of Belize City. And fucking, it was great, man. I think it's how you carry yourself that defines how you're treated by a place.
100%.
Like don't be aggressive. Like, don't get into it. But you need to know how to manage that space, right? So we were in Belize City and fucking had no problems. We went into the bowels, and the locals said, don't go down there. Like, fuck it, we're going down there. And we had a fucking great time. We're fucking loaded out of our mind. And was that smart? Maybe not. Maybe not, right? I can't answer that because I can only tell you that we had a great time.
Yeah. You were there on a good day.
Yeah, man. I don't know.
No, I get what you're saying though. You're right. You can't you can't be aggressive, but you also can't show fear. You can't be like that naive tourist, right?
Find that middle ground, man.
Yeah.
Between fear, because they will prey on you if they could smell you a mile away.
Yep.
But if they know you're fucking quote unquote traveled, they'll fucking say, hey, how can I get money out of you a different way? Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of how we handled it. So, but again, we're obviously different people than your average fucking people.
Yeah, you have a bit of a different. Let me tell you about Army Dave, James. Chris's friend Army Dave. Let me tell you this story.
Big AD.
So I'm down there, not the past Labor Day, but the one before that, and we were there for an event that Cruz was doing, and just hanging out, just having a fun time. And I was there just to tag along. And Kris said, doors open, come down. So I'm like, fuck it. I booked a flight that fucking Thursday, and I was on the plane the next day, kind of thing. And I got there, and you start drinking, and I'm trying to keep up with these two, and holy shit. And I'm a drinker, okay? Like, I can drink. And night one, yeah, I put these guys to bed. But the problem is they go the same caliber night 2. And it's like, okay. And I'm trying to keep up and it's not working. So the first night I'm there, this is the first time I've met Dave in person. I've met Dave on podcasts. I've talked to Dave on the phone at this point, but this first time we've actually hung out, and it was just the 3 of us. And I had gone to take a leak in Chris's bathroom at the other end of the house. And by the time I'd come back, I'd taken my piss. I've washed my hands. I've dried them. I've checked some messages on my phone. And as I come back, the kitchen table is loaded with guns. And I mean, not just guns. I mean, guns. And I'm like,
Chris has a look on his face where maybe you shouldn't be talking about this.
No, we've talked about this on the pod. We talked about, actually, I was still co-hosting Team Blundell at the time. And I did a hit from there, and I think I brought one of them on the show.
But it's all legal, man.
You're lucky you're not in the NBA because you'd be suspended like John Moran.
Oh, I know, right?
Everything was legal. Everything was fine, and everything was safe. There was no ammo. It was just the guns themselves, right? And but it was an exercise for me. And I'm glad he did it because we were talking about the gun debate a bit. And he said, he goes, I want you to point at what gun you think is the most dangerous gun. And I'm looking and I'm like, I wouldn't be able to tell you the first one. I said, that one looks the most menacing. And he said, that is the fucking least dangerous gun on the table. And so, yeah, we I remember that. Yeah. And so then as the weekend progressed with Army Dave with us, and Dave is quiet. But when he speaks, it's fucking hilarious. Like what he comes up with is pure gold. Like it's just pure. Like he should have a show too. I've always said the stuff that he comes up with is great, and he's unpredictable. So we went out a couple of times, but the night we went to the concert was my favorite because we just lost him. We went to that Motley Crue, Def Leppard, fucking whatever show, that metal show, and we find. And Poison, yeah. So I ended up I got stuck with Jimmy, and at the end of the night, and Jimmy and I left early, went to a bar, and we were meeting all the guys afterwards at the bar. They all finally started trickling in after, like, Jimmy and I knocked down like 4 beers at this point and had a plate of nachos and having a good time. There's a band playing. It was a great night. But then we left from there. We thought we were all leaving together. No, Dave left on his own, and he walked home. And it's like, what, 30 blocks from your house at that point?
Yep.
We had no idea where he was. I wanted to go get a shawarma. Ends up in this shawarma shop. We're in the parking lot that night. 2 fucking guys got shot. We're like, Dave, did you bring guns with you to the shawarma place? And he had no idea it happened. He goes, I don't know. I just got a shawarma. There was a lot of cops around, but I still got my shawarma.
Either that or he's really good at just keeping his cover.
Oh my God, he is so funny. He was such a fucking blast. Like he's one of my favorite memories of my trip to Edmonton was Army Dave. He was a great dude. Yeah. Great. Yeah. So yeah. That was the speed of that weekend, and we're gonna do it again. The summer's here. We already said Ashley wants to come.
Say, man, when I thought you had a work thing, you were come out here.
I keep delaying it because I wanted the weather to get nicer.
Well, Ryan, you've also said you're coming up to see me. Army Kris, you should come here too. I live like in the middle of the woods, but in a very big giant palace.
Apparently, your weather is better out there than it is here, so maybe I should come out there because it's fucking shit weather here right now. You know, I prayed for rain, and now I have enough rain. I'm like, okay, stop.
I don't expect anyone to come visit me, but I would fucking love it if you did.
Dude, I'll come visit you. I'll come visit you 100%.
See,
where are you? James, where are you?
I'm in the Madawaska Valley, which is basically between Ottawa and North Bay.
He's about 4 hours away from me. He's about 4 hours away from us.
That's not so bad. I don't know where that is. Yeah. We can do that.
Yeah, sure. Chris has been here, but he's
couple
about
times
4 hours east. Yeah, exactly. I forgot about this. Wade Holloway says I think it was the picture
Wade
of
watching this.
He says, the picture of Ryan with the guns and the Saddam Hussein thing could have got him locked up away on terrorist charges.
That upstairs because I'm renovating my basement. That fucking Saddam painting is like right over there.
Oh, I don't even know if James knows that story, but
I know that story because I cropped it to make it look like you were giving head to Saddam.
That's right. Okay, so
we have it right over there in my spare.
I'm gonna
bedroom.
try and find it.
Find it.
I'm going to.
We have a painting of it was liberated from Kuwait by one combat engineer regiment during the fucking Gulf War One. You know, when we came in and fucking liberated Kuwait from Iraq, and the boys are like, yeah, we're taking that, because that's what we do. Like, we take shit all the time as we progress through a battle. We're taking that and that and that and that. So Dave's got this Saddam Hussein painting, fucking. It's in my spare bedroom, like right over there, right now.
Yeah, and it's huge. It's massive.
Huge. Yeah, it's fucking huge.
You must have loved that movie. Was it Three Kings, about the soldiers that stole the Saddam gold or whatever? Yeah.
So I was like I'm in the middle of renovating my basement. I said, "What the fuck are we doing with this thing?" He goes, "Well, what do you want to do with this? It should go to a museum. Like, it's not staying here. You know,
you should bring it to Pawn Stars.
Oh, there we go. There it is. I found it. Hang on.
Bring it to Pawn Stars, Chris. That'd be hilarious.
Find it, Ryan?
Yeah, just 1 second.
Okay.
I'm just pulling it up now.
Hang on, everybody. You're gonna see how big this fucking thing actually is.
It's massive.
We're gonna put it into the military museum. This is literally liberated Kuwait by one CR back in the day. Like, fucking, that's how big it is.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Saddam was giving head to you. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody that was over that night was doing the high five shit with fucking Saddam Hussein.
So I cropped it and then angled it clockwise to look like that whatever that thing in the background was sort of angled on a 45-degree angle.
I'm gonna go get it right now, so everybody fucking that's watching this in real time right now can see this motherfucker.
Look how sweaty.
Wait.
Okay,
Grant.
Look how sweaty Jimmy was during we were doing the radio show from your garage.
Grant looks like Barry Gibb.
He does.
Right?
Oh, that was a good time. It was such a good time.
Too.
Oh yeah. There was it is such a different gear there, James. It's like
I've never been to Edmonton. I've been to Calgary a bunch of times, but never Edmonton.
They don't stop. There was no stopping. That was the problem.
I couldn't do that. I would strategize, like nursing 2 or 3 beers during the day, and then drinking some caffeine, and then eating food with wine, and then I would go vodka, and then I'd probably just slur and pass out by the end of the night. But like, I can't keep up.
Yeah, it was something, and you're trying to, but I just couldn't do it. Look at this. There's Saddam's on the podcast now.
It's too fucking big.
Chris, is there anything on the back that shows where it's from originally? Like, I'm telling you, listen, my guilty pleasure these days, Ryan, is watching Pawn Star clips. I don't know why.
They fucking like took it off a bridge.
So yeah, but did they put? Is there an artist's name on it or anything, or? Is there an artist's name on it or anything, like anywhere? Like, is there any sort of identifying markings on that at all, Chris, or no?
No, it was taken off a bridge during a war. There's no fucking goddamn. It's not a numbered piece. Fuck.
Just to give you an idea of where we were mid-show when we were doing the radio show. This is how drunk I was. These guys they were holding me up.
Oh, fuck, buddy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was absolutely fucked.
Wow. Oh, that's so funny.
No, so let me be clear. That was taken from it was hanging off of a bridge or something. And they were in a fucking goddamn gunfight and stole it. It's not a numbered fucking item by the artist.
No, I know. Listen, I've been watching a lot of Pawn Stars lately, and I just was trying to see if it had any value.
No, we're probably, to be honest with you, we're probably gonna give that to the Canadian War fucking museum.
I used to have Iraqi currency with Saddam's face on it, but
I had a fucking ton of Iraqi currency.
Yeah,
I gave to this fucking dude in Iraq. Or sorry, I met a dude in Iraq. In Germany. I was coming back from Afghanistan. No, he gave me a bunch of fucking, right on. We look great. He gave me a bunch of Iraqi money, and I gave it to somebody's kid who collected money.
Yeah.
That's my whole story. Sorry if it's not better than that.
We'll wrap soon, guys, because it's getting
late. For sure. It's getting late.
Yeah, now I'm getting tipsy.
Yeah. You started tipsy. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was gonna say getting.
I did. I had a busy day.
Oh, you know what we should, you know what we should do though, Chris, one day, and not tonight because it'll take forever, but we really should just do a podcast because it's been long enough. I think because I still have all those video clips of what we took out front of Alberta Avenue with our friend. Interviewing them, pretending we were serious.
Serious?
Yeah, that's all here.
Well,
James
got to be out of this, man.
Yeah,
sure.
Oh, we found the most Alberta Burton that you've ever met in your life at a wrestling show that Jimmy was wrestling.
Pro wrestling, buddy.
I smell mullet.
Oh, she did have one. She sure did
have one.
So yeah.
Okay, well, listen, guys. Army Kris, thank you so much, man. We should do this more often. I thought the first hour of the podcast was like, I was really moved. I was saying to Ryan when you were having a smoke, I was really moved by your story. I know you don't want to dwell on it, but like that's the kind of stuff that I think people don't hear about, and it's tragic and awful, but I think it's authentic, and so I feel like I thank you for sharing that story, man. Seriously.
No, I appreciate it, James. I'll say this to anybody: ask me real questions, and I'll give you real answers.
I know, and that's why I love having you. So, Army Kris, Ryan Lindley, thank you so much for producing tonight, and
of course,
we'll see you hopefully this Friday. You're welcome, Army Kris. If you want to join us on Casual Friday, you have an open invite, my friend.
I appreciate that. I'm down. I'm always down.
Yeah, you should come. Did you see Jimmy?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I have a pizza waiting for me, so you can take that.
All right, let's get out of here.
Let's punch out, boys. Yes, I'm down for Casual Fridays. I love it.
Okay, well, we'll see you Friday.
Send the link.
See you, boys.
I will. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Ryan. Army Kris and Ryan Lindley. That was a fun show. I'm glad I only drank water this time. I'm going to turn over a new leaf where I don't. I just no weed, no alcohol for shows, even Casual Friday. My pattern of behavior is not as it should be for Casual Fridays. So, plus I need to lose weight. You can always tell when James is less stressed in his life because I get fatter. So I have my belly that I'm gonna try to lose 20 pounds in the next few weeks by eating vegetables, meat, and that's it.
Sorry, really quick. Sorry, I forgot. Yeah. We're at a wedding on Friday, so maybe Chris can sub in for me on Friday. That would be
okay. Awesome. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
My new laptop will be here. See you, man. Okay, and we'll see you next time on Blackballed. Thanks, everybody.
Blackballed. 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 Blackballed.